Hi guys, Tracy here, and I'm going to scrapbook these two photos using this sketch by Susan Stringfellow. And I was really excited to see that sketch, and I definitely wanted to use it with the Baby It's Cold Outside kit from this month, which is January. And so I'm just having a look at some of the things that I might be using. I'm going to stick to the sketch fairly closely for this layout. I love sketches for that reason. It's kind of a really nice way to do a super quick layout, although this one took me about an hour and a half. It just kind of, I find that I have more fun when I don't have to worry about designing and figuring out how everything fits together. I can just kind of play with paper and figure out what kind of embellishments I want to use instead of trying to figure out everything all at once. So I'm just having a look at some papers and pulling out the papers from the Baby It's Cold Outside kit that have the colors that I'm looking for. And I can't decide if I'm going to use that dark blue, which is one of my very favorite shades of blue, or that light blue as my background. And I'm even thinking about maybe using both of them and having one frame the other. I'm going to use that blue and red and cream colored polka dot, which is by Cartabella from the Rough and Tumble collection. And I'm just kind of figuring out how I'm going to make that layer. And so I just kind of put a little tiny cut into each side to kind of get the shape, and I'm just cutting it with my scissors as opposed to a trimmer. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and then, you know, because of the print on the paper is pretty symmetrical, I can get pretty straight lines that way. And so that second paper is Jilly Bean Soup from the Christmas Cheer Chowder, or it's called Christmas Cheer Chowder. And then this red paper is from the Echo Park Keepin' Cozy collection. And the sketch didn't call for a third layer, but I just felt like I needed something else on this layout to kind of separate everything from the black and white photos. So I did print these photos in black and white because my dog has real orangey yellow tones in his coat, and it was going to not look so great with the cool tones in this kit. So, and also in my backyard, the deck has orangey tones like the wood on the deck and stuff. So I just made it all black and white so that my paper will match. I rarely scrapbook in black and white, so it's nice to do that for a change every once in a while. So I'm just using my Stettler Pitt pen to outline all of these pieces of paper, and I'm going to layer them kind of the way that I had them. And I'm just kind of turning up the edges for a bit of interest. And just using my fingertips to pull them up. I will later go in and add some pop dots to hold the space so that it doesn't get squished in my scrapbook. And I felt like I needed something on this layout, so I'm looking at my doilies. I kind of felt like I needed something to soften up that bottom corner, but it turns out I'm going to use a snowflake there, so I don't know what I was thinking. I think I just forgot that or something. So I have that doily there, but once I put because there's space between the two pictures, I was going to have to use both sides of that, both parts of that doily, which I cut in half, thinking I would only need to use half of it. Anyhow, I'm going to think on that while I put these papers together. I'm just layering it so that you barely see that red. I don't want it to be too strong. And so that's where I want the photos to go, and at this point I'm still thinking the doily will be there. And so it's getting hard to manage two doily halves, so I just replaced them with a full doily. And now I'm going to pull out these chipboard snowflakes, which I plan to change the color of, so they will stand out a little bit better. And for the placement of the snowflakes, I followed the sketch almost into the T. And what I want to do here is put some tone-on-tone little snowflake stamps because the kit came with some really cute snowflake stamps. I want them to be tone-on-tone, so I'm taking the second piece of this same cardstock that came in the kit, and I'm just using the back side of it, so the untextured side, which is, if I use this paper again, I'm probably going to use the textured side as the background. So I'm just checking, and yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So it's Pool Party is the ink that I used for, and it's from Stampin' Up. It's one of my favorite colors, and I had a feeling it would be the color I was looking for, but I just wanted to check before I went ahead and committed to stamping on the layout. I wanted them to be visible enough, but not be too much of a different color than the background. So I'm just stamping them in places where it's going to look like they're coming out from under the layout, and or from under like the cluster of papers and stuff, and kind of floating around close to the elements of the layout. And I just pre-mounted all of the stamps on various sides of a couple different blocks, just so that I didn't have to keep peeling stamps on and off the same block. I wanted to just kind of have them all ready to go and do my stamping all at once, and then I'll peel them all off later. Also, I'm going to leave them on because I'm not sure if I might want to add some more stamps depending on what direction this layout takes. I might want more of those snowflakes. So now I'm just embossing this, and I forgot to turn the camera back on, but you'll see me emboss the other snowflake as well. I have my white embossing powder, which I keep in a Ziploc container, and I bought some plastic spoons. I had to actually buy specific plastic spoons that were short enough to fit in the containers, because the plastic spoons I already had on hand were like full-size regular ones, and I couldn't close the lid with the spoon inside, and I don't want to have to go looking for stuff when I'm embossing. I want to keep it all together. So you'll notice that there is a white kind of tray looking thing. It's actually a fabric basket, and I keep all of my embossing stuff in there. I keep the little brushes that you use. So this is my Pro Heater, and I actually got that in the fruit basket area of Michael's, over by kind of like the cake decorating stuff, and it was $10 cheaper than the same item in the scrapbooking section. So that's a tip for you if you don't want to pay whatever I think the one in the scrapbooking section was $30, and that one was 20 or maybe 18 or something like that. It was less. So it does the exact same thing. So now I have my ice stickles, and I have a little sheet that I use. It's like a little sample card just for deciding what kind of stickles I'm going to use. I don't use stickles all that often. You see what I did there? I just put it in the wipes container just to keep the stickles down at the very bottom. I do store my stickles upside down so that the stickles stay at the bottom and you don't get bubbles in it from shaking it from the bottom to the top of the tube. I don't know if I said that right. Anyways, I think you know what I mean. If you don't ask me a question, I'll answer. Now, these snowflakes are a little tiny bit messy just because of the way they were cut. There was little jaggedy ends of cardstock or chipboard, I guess, like chipboard fuzzies on the edges of it. And then when I embossed it, some of the embossing little granules stuck to it, and then now I've got like plastic little fuzzies all over it. So I'm just using my fingernails and my scissors to just clear off the edges to make them nice and crisp again so that they look nicer. So it took me a little while to do that. I'm not sure if it would have been a better idea to trim those up before I embossed or not. It's certainly easy to see what you need to trim when it's a bright white. So anyhow, that might end up being good. So what I'm doing is I am spreading these ice stickles all over this. And ice stickles, I don't even know if you can still get them. I never really see stickles around anymore, but I'm not really paying attention or looking for them. But ice stickles have larger chunks of glitter in them, so it dries to a much chunkier type of glitter than the regular, and these look absolutely gorgeous if you like. They really look like snow crystals, especially if you put on a really thick coat. I don't want to use a really thick coat here because well, they're already white underneath, so I don't really need a thick coat. And also I want it to dry faster, so I'm just putting on a thin coat. The reason I embossed instead of painting or inking is because I wanted a really nice crisp white, and then the strongest white that I have is embossing powder. So ink usually kind of sucks into the cardstock and or the chipboard, and it kind of comes out like a grayish color, and paint is messy, and I just didn't feel like using paint, so I just decided to emboss these. Plus embossing gives it a nice shiny coating, and it is a really crisp, bright white, and that's the kind of look that I was looking for. So if you're wondering why I emboss, because I rarely emboss, so you're probably thinking, why did she do that? So that's why. You could have covered these in a whole bunch of other ways. Paint would have been fine. I just didn't want to have to clean up the paint. And with mist, I have some white mist, but mist would have sucked into it, and again, it wouldn't be the same crisp white. It would look kind of more like a whitewashed cardboard type of thing. So, what am I going to mist now? Oh, I'm going to do some sprinkles. So I'm sprinkling some Mr. Huey's, and I'm just kind of following the stamps. So I'm putting them around the same places. I used seafoam green, white, and now I'm using silver. I just felt like it needed a little something darker to kind of, I don't know, it adds a little bit more interest. These were taking a long time to dry on this paper. This is not the waxy blue paper that came in the Baby It's Cold Outside kit. This is just some regular green paper by Basil, and the ink just wasn't sinking into it the way that it does into pattern paper. I think this is why I don't use cardstock backgrounds quite as often, because I always run into this problem where my ink splatters won't absorb and dry at a reasonable pace. So I am going to do some stamping on this photo. So I just have a foam, it's a piece of foam from some packaging that I had a long time ago, but you could use a mouse pad that you just turn upside down if you still have a mouse pad around. And so I'm just using Island Indigo by Stampin' Up, which is my very favorite blue color. It's the same color as that background, that cardstock that I have my snowflakes kind of sitting on, and I love that color. So I'm using some Stampin' Up! Pop Dots to put the photos in place. I haven't peeled the backings off of them yet because I haven't decided how my photos are going to go down. But now I have decided, so I'm just going to put them in place, and I'm just going to hold that snowflake there. I haven't decided yet if the snowflake is going to go over or under the photo. In the sketch it goes under, but I'm thinking I probably want it over. So I am going to end up putting it under after all, and it holds the space perfectly because I had the photos put on there with dimensionals, and I left that corner without a dimensional just so that I could slip the snowflake under there if I decided to go that route. I am using my Tombow Mono Multi Adhesive. I think in a recent video I called that Zig. I have a Zig pen, a Zig glue pen, and so that's what I was getting confused about, but that is made by Tombow, not by Zig. Freshening up my coffee. And this is using the Baby It's Cold Outside kit. I narrated half of this yesterday, so I can't remember if I said that or not at the beginning. So I'm just pulling out some of the embellishments from the kit and having a look at some of the tags that came in the kit, some of the stickers. I definitely need some embellishments on this besides the snowflakes. The snowflakes are definitely going to be the main embellishment, but I just feel like it needs a little something else. It's actually going to take me a little while to figure out what I'm going to end up putting on this. I'm also not entirely sure of my title, but I'm going to go with Blizzard. And I know I'm going to put it down in the bottom by that last snowflake, just like it is in the sketch. And now I'm finding that there's only one Z on this letter sticker sheet, which normally wouldn't bother me, but you can't spell blizzard with one Z. So I just took the N and put it on its side. It doesn't match the other Z, but it looks like a Z anyways. So these letters are going to go on the cardstock, and also they're going to layer over top of the snowflake. So I'm going to take the ZAR, which are all stuck to one another, and put them to that snowflake. And they stick fairly well. Like it wouldn't make a good embellishment for a mini album that's going to be handled, but it'll probably stick inside of a page protector in a scrapbook. I'm sorry that I'm doing this out of frame. What I decided to do, I think, was, yes, oh, I'm sorry, guys. What I'm doing here is I am moving it so that more of the snowflake is poking out above the word for blizzard. So I had to move all my letters. I had to move the snowflake up on the page and all of my letters down off of, like, on the snowflake, so that more of the top of that snowflake pointed out, that you can see right there. Because it was only a tiny bit and it looked weird. And so those ink splats are not dry, and so you'll see that I smudged one of them there in the corner. And that's part of the risk of trying to scrapbook fast, is that sometimes you smudge things. And I did leave that paper for quite some time. I think I left it for over an hour. Like I went and did a doll video or something and came back. And so I was hoping it would be dry, but it isn't. It's dry now, sort of. I'm touching it here. Yeah, it's dry. So anyways, I'm having a look at these stickers and I'm trying to decide what to put in this corner. So I'm looking at the bottom left-hand corner right beside Let It Snow, and I feel like I need something there on top of the snowflake that's going to maybe layer over the corner of that photo. So I'm looking at the Ormolu tags and banners that came in the kit. I'm looking at the stickers that came in the kit. You're not seeing any of this, but I promise you I'm looking at those things. And I see just down the line a little bit, you're going to see some more stickers that I pulled out. Oh, I know what I was doing here. I went over to my Christmas stuff and I thought, oh, maybe there's something from the Home for the Holidays kit that I could pull in here that's not too Christmassy that I might be able to use. And those stickers, those chipboard stickers, weren't going to do it. So then I'm thinking about a tag, and then here are those cut aparts from Ormolu. And there are a couple things that I might use. So I'm thinking maybe that one with the old looking weathered wood, maybe this tag, or maybe the green and white diagonal striped journaling spot type of thing. So I'm cutting that out. I'm so sorry that I forgot to zoom out. This is a little boring to just look at hardly anything. I'm also going to cut out this strip of trees because I'm not sure if I might be able to use that somehow. I'm basically just cutting out a bunch of options so I can play with them, put them together, put them on top and underneath of each other and try them, see how they look. So I kind of like the look of that, except that that tag is blending in too much with the photo. Like, because it's that weathered grayed looking wood, it's blending in too much with the photo. So I'm going to go with this green diagonal stripe journaling spot from Ormolu instead. And then I'm pulling this tree off of the sticker sheet that came in the kit. There we go. That's more like it. I'm going to outline the tree because it's blending in too much with the journaling spot. I'm just using a slick writer because these are slick stickers, like they're shiny stickers. Glossy, that's the word I'm looking for. So I'm using a Lumocolor Staedtler pen, and that sticker is going to stick right on there. Perfect. I'm thinking about using that tag, but I'm not gonna. Trying to figure out what else I might want to use, and then it occurs to me that I might want to put a sticker. Now in the video here you'll see that I put the sticker right on top of the tree, but in the photos you'll see that I actually have gone back and pulled off the frosty sticker and added some dimensional pop dots underneath of the frosty sticker so that it stands up a little bit. It only makes a subtle difference, but what I was finding is that this embellishment cluster just didn't have enough dimension. That's why I was adding the enamel dots and the flare badge to just kind of try to pop it up a little bit, but it needed a little something else. Those three elements, like the journaling tag and the tree sticker and the frosty sticker, were all too flat. So once I popped up the frosty sticker, I think this embellishment cluster looks a lot better. So check out the photos at the end so you can see what I'm talking about. I just used a Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive to put that flare badge over on the side of that embellishment cluster. And now I'm going to do my journaling, even though I knew when I chose the textured side of this layout that the journaling would be challenging. So because I'm writing on a textured surface, the letters come out really bumpy and I have to go over them a couple of times. I don't really mind that look as long as as long as you can read it. I don't really mind too much if it's like that. I mean, it doesn't look entirely neat, but it doesn't look entirely messy either. So the journaling says on January 6th, the first blizzard of the year hit. It was too cold to play outside, but Charlie got to play in it when he was let out, although he kept trying to come back in the back door, which was snowed in. And then that picture up there is of Charlie trying to get in the wrong door. And we had to keep going out the front door, which wasn't snowed in. And like we had to put on all of our snow gear because it was absolutely freezing and trudge out through the blizzard snowdrifty yard to the back and call him around and have him follow us to the front door in order to come in, because he's just so used to going out the back door and coming back in the back door that he was totally confused about why we weren't just opening the door and letting him in. But we couldn't because there was a big snowdrift against it. So he was only out for a few minutes. He didn't get too cold or anything. We would go right around and get him. So it's taken me a while to do this journaling just because I had to go over so much of it twice. And I think that might be it. Let me see. Oh, there's quite a bit more video here, so I must be going to add something else. Yeah, so I thought about adding Brr right there, but instead I'm going to add a little sticker from the Fancy Pants set. The Fancy Pants sticker set, I meant to say. I was almost sneezing when I said that. So I'm just going to add a couple little touches here, and I'm still thinking about what can go up in that top corner, and then I finally decide to put that sticker that says Winter's Little Wonders. And it has some red in it too, so it adds a bit of color to the top layer. The only red was in that polka dotted paper up until then, and the paper behind. So here are the close-ups. You get to see how those stamps look amongst the splatter and the larger snowflakes. And after you look at these close-ups, there are some close-up photos as well, so be sure to check those out. And if you want to see any of the photos in more detail for any of my layouts, I always link through to my Flickr set. Every layout that I do has a Flickr set, so the link for that is always in the information section on the video. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and take care and have a great scrappy week.